So for this activity, we're going to look at complementary colors, and simply it is just the color opposite the color wheel. So here we have red, and so its complementary color is green. Orange is complementary to blue, and vice versa. Blue is complementary to orange, yellow complementary to violet. So color directly across. It also applies to yellow, green, red, violet, the colors in between, but we're going to just stick to the primary and secondary colors. So we're going to do some scales. Now, when you're mixing complementary colors, it creates neutral colors. So this is how you get some very natural, like browns, grayish kind of colors. And for me personally, it's the way I like to shade instead of using black. Black can oftentimes be considered a color killer, just because it's so dominating, and it's just not always the best choice, even though it tends to be what everybody reaches for instantly. I prefer using complementary colors. And so I'm going to walk you through I'm going to walk you through yellow and violet, because that one's actually a little bit more challenging. But you'll apply the same steps for the other two. So I have 9 boxes here. They're about a 1/2 inch each, so it's a total of 4.5 inches all the way across. Just so you can see that. Every 1/2 inch, and then it's a 1/2 inch tall. Okay. So in the box here, one side's going to be yellow, so I'm going to press really hard with my yellow. Fill in that box. On the side that says violet, I'm going to press really hard with my violet. Now with yellow, because it is such a light value, you want to be very careful with how much violet you put in. And with violet, you're going to have to put a little bit more yellow than you probably would, or not press as hard with the violet, because yellow is so light it doesn't really change the purple too much. So I'm going to start with this side. This middle area, is going to be our neutral color. So we want to work our way towards the center here. So I'm going to start with my purple, and this side next to my yellow, I'm going to barely put a value of purple in here. So it's like kind of creating my value scale. I'm going to get a little bit darker. And again, make sure your box is entirely even. You don't want to have part of the box lighter and then getting darker elsewhere. And then here in the center, I'm going to go ahead and get a little bit darker. I don't want to press so hard that it's waxy or shiny, but I do want to get a little more color in here. Okay. So now I'm going to do the same with my yellow on this side. So here I'm going to be very light. And again, I might have to get a little bit darker with my yellow, because you're not going to really see this have a change on our purple. So that's about a good value. I definitely want to get darker the next one. So as I move to the center, I want my color to get darker or more intense of a color. Okay, that's pretty good right now. So on this middle one, I'm going to put yellow on top. And I might have to, if I don't press too hard right away, I can still add to it. So I might have to add to this in a little bit. For the yellow side, so you're going from light to dark with the complementary color, light to dark. Yellow is the only one that I'm going to get a little heavy-handed, but all the other colors, like blue and orange, it should be more like this a little bit. So on the yellow side, I'm going to take my yellow color pencil and I'm going to press hard. Now the point of this is what's going to happen is that my yellow should start to become a darker yellow. It might get a little more like a brownish in color, but I shouldn't see the purple through the yellow. I should have enough yellow to cover up the purple. Now on this side, I need to cover up the yellow with the purple. And really, I should have my purple the same intensity as that purple. And what you should see is the purple should start to become more of like a brownish purple. And then I'm going to go back and add more purple to this middle one. I'm going to add more yellow. Press really hard with my yellow now. And that's your scale. So if I have an object that's purple, I would use yellow to change the color. And I don't usually, to be honest, I don't usually use complementary colors for purple objects, but I definitely use it for, like, if I'm drawing a lemon, I'll use violet to create more natural shadows on a lemon or any object that's yellow. You'll do the same for red and green and blue and orange. And I'll post a photo of what that should look like. Then you're going to do 6 spheres, shaded spheres, using your complementary colors. And so let's just pick these 2 here. I'll go ahead and do a red and green so you can see a different color combination. So on this one, ball is red, shadow is green, and this one we're going to have ball is green, shadow will be red. Just so you can see the difference between these. So I'll start with this one. My shadow, that's red. I'm going to take my red. So this is kind of like shading just with a regular pencil. You want it to go from light to dark. You want it to fade. You want to show us our highlight. Don't forget your reflective light. So this one, my shadow is red. And then I'm going to take my green and I'm going to, I like to just kind of outline my sphere a little bit so it's a little bit easier to color. And a lot of students, they kind of do this where they just do a light green and you can still see the red through it. When you're using complementary colors, you don't really want to see the color underneath. So I'm going to press a little bit harder so that that green becomes a darker green. So everywhere I have more red, the green should get darker. And where the red is lighter, my green should be a little bit more of a normal green. And then because I have the highlight, again, if you're drawing something that's really shiny, then you'll have a white spot on it. If it's a matte object, then your highlight would just be the color of your object. So the red is giving us a darker green, and it's it's a little bit more interesting, a little bit more vibrant than using just black. Okay. So I'm going to do the opposite here. So this one, the ball is going to be red and our shadow is going to be green. So I'm going to go in with my green. And don't forget to shade with the shape of your object. And again, making things fade. Because if you have if it's not even and it's messy, when you do this next step, when you add the color on top, it really makes those lines stand out a lot. So you want to be careful about making sure everything's nice and blended before you start to lay in your top color. And again, you don't want to just color through it where you see sorry about that, where you see just the green underneath. We want to cover up that green so that our red becomes darker. And there is my red sphere with its shadow, my green sphere with its shadow. So you're going to do this for yellow and violet. You're going to create a yellow sphere, you're going to create a purple sphere, you're going to create a blue sphere, and an orange sphere.